Hey, how you doing? It's good to have you back. I'm back. This is another one of those out of the ordinary shows for you all. This is me talking with my producer, Jimmy Goots, who has been part of Garden Fork from almost the get-go. He was one of the first people that watched the videos and emailed me and reached out to me. And I'm like, wow, this connected with somebody, which, there's that kind of wow moment there, and because you're wondering what's going on out there, and then there's someone that responds. So I have known Jimmy a long time, and a while ago I made him the executive producer of the podcast because he emails me with these kind of cryptic emails about how I can improve the show or his thoughts on the show. And I'm like, well, that's what an executive producer does, So yesterday I called him up mainly because the storm was coming and I had a couple things to touch on. So I recorded it. So this isn't exactly a informational podcast. This is a Garden Fork producer discussion. If you're interested in hearing that, come on along for the ride. If you're not, you can check out some of the other DIY downloadable podcasts we have. So yeah, if this is your first time here, this is a little out of the ordinary. But Jimmy's a good friend, and I enjoyed having a conversation with him. So here we go. My neighbor just gave me some. I gave my neighbor some eggplants from the garden the other day, and then he just gave me back some eggplant caponata that I could put over some pasta. So.
Ooh, made similar to the way they use an olive.
Yeah.
Wow, they. It's odd. I never thought about it. They have a very similar consistency.
Yeah. And it was free dinner.
Save it for the show.
Well, this is the show. Anytime I can get you on the internet, that's a big deal.
Well, the internet's rare these days. They're trying to take it down here in North Carolina.
Are they?
Seems so. They said we got like 2 more days before the internet's gone.
So is the world coming to an end there in North Carolina? Or?
You would think so by everyone online and the phone calls. In between you asking me over the phone about, hey, can we do this? A quick call. I said, give me 15 minutes. I got a Skype call, which is so rare, from my friend and partner Paul Alves from the old Book Guys show.
Yeah.
Which is on hiatus. And he's just checking in, asking the very same things. Who do you know from North Carolina that you can call and see what's going on? So there's a fervor. I've seen so many pictures of empty shelves where the bread used to be. They ought to take the opportunity to clean those, is what I think.
Big hint.
But I also just stopped at Home Depot to get an element for the water heater. And I've known the store manager there for like 17 years. And I said, when did you sell out of generators? And he said, this morning. He said, we sold 54.
Wow.
And they said they had a bunch of those left over that they got stuck with. And they've been just in storage since the last ice storm we had.
Huh.
So supply and demand is happening. And they're also out of sand.
Oh, for sandbags. And
they even sold out of, people got so desperate, instead of play sand, which, 40 or 50 pounds is what? A couple dollars, $3, maybe $4.
Yeah.
They bought all the sand for swimming pool filters, which is like $7 or $8.
Wow.
So, things is crazy.
Well, it's weird because there's this confluence of North Carolina because I have some family there now, and my father-in-law and my wife were both flying through North Carolina. And you were there, and Rick, co-host Rick, is just north of there, so it seemed kismet to get you on the phone. And you sent me an email today, so I was like, oh, maybe I can get the reclusive executive producer on the phone.
I don't know that it was a message to talk more about the hurricane, which has already got me, just about wore out. But sometimes that's what it takes.
Well, here we are.
Here we are, exactly.
So to answer your email questions, I did not go on vacation. I don't know if I suggested that somehow. And I have not been to North Carolina yet. I have to visit there, and we will be together when that happens.
All right. I think I was saying in the email that I just listened to the last show, which is from maybe 10 days ago. Something about my podcatcher's not showing me that there's a new episode. I updated it somehow, and you go in and there's the new episode. It says that you have a bunch of like ones that are played and partially played, but it doesn't say that there's any unplayed. So I've been a long time holdout for not updating my devices.
Yeah.
My iPhone 6S is still running on 10 point something, and it asks me every day, or sometimes it'll go a week or two, but then start badgering me again to update. And one of my customers texted me today back. I told him something I'd fixed their place, and it says that so-and-so emphasized this message. And I don't know what that is. It supposed to like explode out at you, or is it dance across the screen? I don't know. I feel like I'm getting left out. Thanks, Apple.
Yeah, I avoid upgrading as well because it always breaks things.
You're right, but what's funny lately, like when I go to eBay to check on, I have a few things for sale right now. When I go to the page to see, where the bidding is, I get a pop-up that says, "Congratulations, Amazon user," and it locks my screen. And the only thing you can either do is close that window or click OK. You can't hit the back button to go back onto the eBay page you were on. So I'm wondering if that particular release is not just unstable now. So I've honestly thought about updating both of the devices tonight, just out of paranoia.
Well, I would say yes then. We're going to talk about this with Radio Rick because he is our security expert, but I got a very creepy email last month, and then the email was sent to me again the other day with my a very old password in the subject line, and this threat, and I had to pay thousands of dollars to this Bitcoin address, and I didn't. But it ends up it's a scam. But Rick did some deep diving to figure it all out for me, so we're going to talk about that. But that kind of thing is still out there, Yeah,
so it was a password you recognized?
Yeah, I used it like 10 years ago. So I think someone had hacked into an old membership site of some sort.
Sure, or Twitter or any one of the places that's had email passwords cracked into over the last several years. It could be anything, but that gives some legitimacy and like real fear to the email. I can see where that could be a pretty good sales technique.
Yeah, that's why I went immediately to the Garden Fork OPSEC, what we call him, operational security expert.
Dude's named Ben. The back office guys, the people are going to really save the world after the EMP. I didn't know Garden Fork had such a group. I need to get in with these guys. They're truly the ones to, bring some honey to at the end of the year.
You're in charge of everything. You're the executive producer.
I'm taking notes.
So you liked the opening of the show I did the other day. Thank you for that.
I did. So was that happenstance, or did you finally come around and remember that I've asked you for months and months and months to please open the show just differently one time, and it just happened. It was 10 days before I listened to the show, and I was wondering, did he do that? Because you did it real smooth, but it had a different feel to it, and I wonder if anybody else caught the fact.
You're the only one I've heard from. Everyone else emailed me and wanted to know how Rick was.
Oh, okay.
Some viewer mail. Actually, one from Nicole is like, "How was Rick?" And I'm like, "Well, you'd think he's okay." And then I was thinking about who did I know in North Carolina, and I was like, "Oh, let's check on Jimmy." So,
well, Jimmy really would love to see maximum excitement with zero damage.
Okay, all right.
I like the mood. Everybody's out and about and kind of just feels weird. With everyone talking about it, you can see the thing on their faces. Like when I was at Home Depot, those people looked panicked. And we're an hour and a half, 2 hours from the beach.
Yeah.
It couldn't be worse than a big thunderstorm like we've had here this summer.
Yeah.
Several times where it sucks your lawn chair out. It doesn't suck it over the fence, but it might be up against the fence. That's sort of, I'm hoping if that's it, then we'll be fine. We lose a little bit of power. I don't know.
People have been through worse.
People have been through worse, and I have nothing but the best of hopes for anyone that's in the path. My wife and I are hoping that our son would go to college down in Wilmington.
Yep.
And that's a year away. And now you're thinking, ooh, boy, if we're in Wilmington, there'd be a lot more preparation going on. But, if it goes the way they say, we ought to buy, a couple 1,000 feet inland and wait for the water to come up. And then we'll have beachfront.
Yeah, wait 10 years. Hey, real quick here. I was wondering if you wanted to join the Garden Fork email list. It's more Eric. I don't know if you want that or not. But the best way to do that, if you go to the gardenfork.tv site, there are signups all over the place. There should be one on every page. Also, in the show notes for this show, if you're listening to it in the iTunes app or one of the other podcast apps, to click on the little text thumbnail of the show and the notes will pop up and there's a link in there. Or just go to gardenfork.tv and there should be a sign up there. All right? Thank you. Hey, totally different tangent, but I was at my friend's cabin up in the woods in Connecticut, and you had sent me some dried leaf tobacco a while back.
That's right.
I gave it to him. Are you eating while we're on the show?
I can't believe the microphone is this good. I should have never put this in. I ate one peanut. Okay, I'll talk while you're eating. But Jimmy sent me some leaf tobacco, dried leaf tobacco that he had dried, and I don't smoke tobacco, but I have a friend who has an occasional cigarette with a glass of whiskey, at the end of the evening kind of thing, and he hand rolls his cigarettes. And I said, here, this is from my friend Jimmy. He grew this, and he was very intrigued for it, and he rolled it, and he goes, wow, this is really good. And I was at dinner at his house, which is this cabin in the woods. It's off-grid. And another friend showed up, just kind of spur of the moment, up the dirt road. And he said, hey, do you have any more of that really great homemade tobacco? Oh, so he's been sharing it.
And they both really liked it. So I was like, wow, that's really cool. And you grew it in your yard, I mean, I don't think we should be smoking every day, but an occasional cigarette with a glass of whiskey, in the middle of nowhere in the woods is pretty nice. Yeah,
I think it's really grounding. And the fact that I grew it in my yard and I know I didn't spray any chemicals on it, and it's fed mostly by compost that I've made myself. I don't know any roadside stand you can go get that at. I just don't think it really exists.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen tobacco leaf for sale at a roadside stand.
Maybe it's regulated that way. And honestly, I've never really thought about that at all. But I actually still have quite a supply of it. And I've been turning the leaves as the moisture comes in the air. The leaves get damp, and I don't really cure it. If you go back to another show, I've talked about it before, but I don't cure it the proper way. I just sort of turn the pile over, and it's dry on the outside. It's moist inside. You don't want mold to grow, so I just keep turning. And it's been so humid. Of course, it's this time of year here in North Carolina, and this stuff, when you put your nose down in it and smell it, it's so fragrant and wonderful. I'm going to package you up some. This time I think what I'll do is vacuum seal it so I can put it in an envelope.
All right.
Yeah. Because I honestly don't have that many outlets for it, and to hear it appreciated, that'll motivate me to send some more back. Yeah, thanks for that story.
It's interesting how we want to please others instead of pleasing we're better at pleasing others than we are pleasing ourselves. We can make others happy easier than we can make ourselves happy.
And it's wonderful to have people to remind you that that's a possibility, because you said, what am I doing this for? But I did something I enjoyed, and to hear someone who enjoys the fruits of that, I think that's what commerce is based on. But this is not for sale. This is only friends. Okay, I don't have a roadside stand here. Don't come by.
You are in a corner. You're on a corner right there. You could stick a.
We have a lot of yard sale traffic and very minimal parking.
Oh. So
people walk through the yard, and don't get me started on early birds at yard sale. I'm working on my next yard sale. Man Sale 3, Clearance Jubilee.
Oh, that's going to be the name of the show. So I have a good friend who buys things from estate sales and sells them on eBay, and she is having a giant tag sale this weekend of stuff that didn't sell or is too big to sell on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go over there and bring her a couple things that I want to sell, but I don't think anyone will buy on eBay.
Yeah, the shipping of certain things is prohibitive, not from the fact that someone gave me a robot to clean their swimming pool, and it was broken. They bought a new one. They didn't want to buy the $300 cord to make their old one work again, so they bought a new one that was $1,300 or $1,400. I said, "You sure?" "Yeah, okay." I sold the power supply for $150, and people were happy to get it for that price. And
yeah.
Then someone says, "What about the whole machine?" So I sold them the machine. Spent 3 days trying to get it boxed up. And this is not worth it. And then, you're trying to guess what it weighs, and where am I going to stand take it in the house, get on the scale, weigh myself with it, without it, do the math. And shipping big stuff's, it's overrated. Leave that to someone else.
She had one of these late 60s, early 70s 45 record players. It was plastic, and it kind of opened like a suitcase, and it had a speaker on either side. It was like a gray plastic. And the middle, the center would fold out to play the 45s. And I remember this from my childhood. My friend's sister had it. And she bought one of these for like a couple dollars and sold it for a small fortune and shipped it to Japan.
Ah, well, there you go. Yeah, that'd be where the market would be for something that you could make enough money off of it that you would take it to FedEx and say, insure it for this much, and you're gonna package it, and if it's broke, you're the one that packaged it. But you tell the people to ship it, it's going to be $170. It's not going to be whatever the post office says, and I'm going to find a box and package it and take all that time. No, well, that's really cool. Yeah, me and my wife, that's one of our things, go to estate sales and look for stuff. One of the coolest things I've got is a hammer that I got it was a farm, and there was all these old men there to look at all the farm equipment that you pull behind a tractor.
Yeah.
And in the barn, I found a hammer. This guy actually handmade handles. Mm. He whittled them down for everything you can think of. He had a barrel filled with like half-done ones, but this hammer is like 2 feet long. And it's a ball peen hammer, and the head of it looks like it's 100 years old or older.
So it's like a BFH, basically.
Well, it's tiny. It's ball peen. It's real small. It's you got your regular S-Twing, like 22, 23 ounce.
Right.
This thing is probably like 10 ounces,
Whoa,
11
okay.
ounces.
Yeah, pardon me, then.
Yeah. It's not the one you want to bring to solve all your problems, but it must have had a use to have made such a long handle for it. It's made out of hickory. There's not a wedge in it or a screw. It's beautiful craftsmanship, and I guess he probably used it to work on the tractor. Must have had to hold this one thing while you could still hit this thing down there and needed a longer one. and I bought the thing for $2.
Beautiful. Maybe like to tap in a cotter pin or something, or
Exactly, something like that, something small, precise. Maybe I had to fit into a spot, but yeah, I enjoys the estate sales myself.
I had a 49 Ford F1 pickup truck, and the starter motor, the gear, when you start it, the gear by centrifugal force flings into the flywheel. The engine starts, and then the starter gear is flung back out again because the flywheel spins faster than the starter motor is turning. And that gear would get stuck on the flywheel, and then the next time you wanted to start it, it would just go click, click. So we had a hammer on the end of a stick, and you would whack the side of the flywheel housing right near the starter, and that would disengage the starter gear, and then you could start it.
Oh, well, yeah. I'm familiar with that because I've got a 99 F-150 with it's creeping up on 300,000 miles. And
nice.
Like every 15th start, you get this crazy sound. It's where where that engagement is happening to start it. There's some bad spots, and depending on when you turn off the truck, it's like a roulette wheel. Did you stop it on the bad part? And it took a couple of years of having the truck to realize when it happens, you just go with it, and then turn it off and wait 10 seconds for everything to stop and settle down. And sometimes it does it again, but if you just keep trying to start it, you never get anywhere. So when I sell this thing, it's going to, I guess, I'm not going to be the guy who sells it to somebody and doesn't explain this to them, but that's how it was when I got it.
Yeah, a couple of the teeth on the flywheel are bad.
Yes, and it's cost prohibitive to fix.
Oh yeah, to pull the housing to get into that. Is it a manual or automatic?
Automatic, four-wheel drive.
If it was manual, you could put it in first gear, let the clutch out, and walk to the back of the truck and shove it back and forth a couple times.
Yeah.
And that would move the flywheel enough so that the better teeth move into place.
Oh, okay. Well, see, you know what? I really miss you having your F-150. You got your little minivan there in the city, but I miss the garden fork when you used to have to tear out busted old pieces from your truck. And this is old territory again, but I understand. I
see trucks for sale, and I'm like, wow, that's $900. I could have a truck, but I'm just like, what am I going to do with it?
Pull stumps. No, just make videos.
Yeah, but then I have to keep it somewhere. As I repeatedly say, I'm trying to get rid of stuff, and a truck is a big thing to get rid of. So
yes, it's a big thing to get rid of.
We now have someone in my small town started a Facebook page, Facebook group, and I post stuff on there for free stuff, and I'm just like, I had a bunch of timbers, and I'm like, here you go, they're at the end of my driveway, it's Eric's house. I don't put my address, because most people in town know where I live, and I take a picture, I'm like, here you go, come get it, and someone usually comes by and grabs it. So
the end of my driveway and several of my neighbors' driveways are like hot spots. I'm on the edge of where a bunch of really nice houses are.
Yeah.
And people will sit out like a weed eater. And I'll bring it home, give it to my neighbor. He takes it to his dad and says, oh, it's just the primer bulb is bad. Okay, there you go. And he collects stuff. He's, pushing 80, but he loves to have stuff to tear apart. Yeah, this is a hotbed. My neighbor had a little cruiser bike like you'd have at the beach.
Yeah.
And he lost like 45 pounds walking. He said, I think I'm going to try biking. Well, he crashed the bike, and he said, I want rid of this bike. I said, sit at the end of my driveway, and I set my stopwatch, and it was gone in 45 minutes. I said, don't put a free sign on it. Just sit it out there, right by there where I set the trash cans, and it was gone. My dad said, if there's something that you want to put at the street and nobody will take it, if you have free on it, he said, right on there, $5, and they'll steal it.
That's cheaper than taking it to the dump. So.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And he put like $40 into the bike, and so I was like, yeah, watch it get gone.
Do you shop on Amazon? I shop locally and also on Amazon and other online stores. If I need something very specific, like seat covers for the new used car we just bought, I will go online and sometimes use Amazon. And Garden Fork happens to have a dedicated shopping page on the Amazon site now, which is very cool. It is an affiliate linked page. We do get a finder's fee for anything that you buy when you start shopping from that page. But I list there interesting items that I think are worthy of the Garden Fork DIY person. It's amazon.com/shop/gardenfork. If you would start your Amazon shopping experience, no matter what you're looking for on Amazon, start it at Garden Fork, and that would be great. It's amazon.com/shop/gardenfork. That's amazon.com/shop/gardenfork. All right, well, I should go. I have to go make dinner, but is there anything else we need to talk about? Anything like business-related, Garden Fork Radio business-related things? Or
There's a lot of things happening, and some exciting things that the viewers, I know they're not viewers, but
listeners,
they've got to look forward to. I did want to make 2 points. One, the Space Rocket History podcast, are we going to line them up to come on the show? Do you think that that's going to happen?
Yeah, I thought you were busy in August because your business is pretty busy in August. So
I was. Things are slowing down now.
So I will three-way email us. I actually, my wife, the camera operator, pretends not to listen to the Space Rocket History podcast in the car because she telecommutes with the internet hotspot and all this stuff in the car. And yet now she can do a pretty good imitation of Mike Annis from Space Rocket History.
Yeah,
and
we've got a lot to talk about with that guy.
And we have to he has the Tang ceremony for every 50 episodes, so we have to think of some kind of ceremony for every 50 episodes. I love the Tang ceremony for Space Rocket History.
I do too. Maybe a shot of maple syrup.
Oh, yeah.
Or honey and...
The Tang is great because he holds the glass up to the microphone when he's mixing the Tang into the glass, and the spoon hits the glass and all that. And he goes, and he literally tells you, "I poured it in. Here goes the water. Here's the Tang." You know.
Yeah, he paints a picture. So what we need is either a maple syrup or honey-based cocktail. Yeah. That is the Garden Fork cocktail, and you put ice in it and stir, and then we've got the little sound going with the spoon. I think you're onto something. I'm writing this down.
So if anyone's listening has an idea for a cocktail that involves some honey or maple syrup, and we could have, I would love that.
The other thing is, you were talking about your place up there up north, and I got to admit, I was totally immersed a month or so ago trying to cyberstalk down to where your place is.
Oh.
Zooming in with Google Earth, Google Maps. I found the post office. There's not a lot there. There's like two roads that meet, and
that's it.
That's it. So congratulations being off the grid.
Our town, the GPS does not work very well in our town. It's famous for taking people down roads that are impassable in winter because they're dirt roads. There's a lot of dirt roads in our town, and we're like, just follow the directions, don't take the GPS, and then they're like, they call you like, I'm in a snowdrift, and I'm like, I told you.
Well, let me ask this. There's a giant lake up there that I'd never seen before. It looks like a man-made lake.
That's a reservoir.
Okay. So are you allowed to boat on it, swim in it, fish in it?
Yeah, you can do all that. No power. I think you can have like a 5-horsepower motor in there.
But you can have a gas motor.
I'm pretty sure you can. There's sailboats, there's canoes in there. And that watershed is protected in our town. And it's actually a very large part of the town is the watershed for that reservoir. It's interesting.
So how far are you from that?
I'm west of it by probably 5 miles or so. I'm giving you too much information here.
No, that's where I've got you pinpointed, but I gave up. All right. Well, I will keep you updated as the storm front comes. I'm actually, I think, in the eye of the hurricane now, so it was a good time for the call.
Well, good. You can go back to eating peanuts now. So.
Then you go back to typing.
Thank you, my friend.
All right, brother. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks again. I always appreciate you guys downloading the show, comments and all. radio@gardenfork.tv. Always, I'm going to hammer this until I am not hammering it anymore, but iTunes reviews, and you can leave an iTunes review from your iPhone, iPad, podcast, Apple Podcast app now. All right? So, make it a great day. Thank you. Garden Fork Radio's executive producer is Jimmy Goots of hollowbooks.com, and our music is licensed from uniquetracks.com.